Hello, everybody. My name is Maurice Button. I'm the CEO of City and Financial Global, and it's my great pleasure to be interviewing Dr. Tony Rooke, Executive Director, Climate Transition Planning and Sectoral Pathways at GFANS. I'm sure most of you know what GFANS is, but if you don't, it's the Glasgow Financial Alliance for Net Zero. And Tony's going to be speaking at our Climate Transition Plans for Financial Institutions and Listed Companies Summit, which is being held in central London on the 7th of February. Tony, welcome.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, Maurice.
Very nice to meet you. Let's get to the questions. First question, by way of background, please can you tell us a bit more about GFANS's work on transition plans for financial institutions and the recent guidance that it published? How does this fit with GFANS's other priorities and activities?
So GFANS, what we do is we bring together the global financial sector to accelerate the transition to a net zero economy. So together with the financial institutions, we've mapped out actions that they can consider for the net zero transition planning. And we've also developed guidance for companies from across other industries that highlights the important information we needed from them that is needed by the financial sector. So that's mapping out the transition planning activity in order that these plans can be enacted to help shift finance into transition activities. And that, just to sort of highlight a little bit the work that we've done on transition plans, we've outlined 5 key themes to the formation of transition plans. And really this is an articulation of strategy. So the first is the foundations. What are the objectives and priorities at the heart of your strategy? The second is how are you implementing this into your business? How are you doing the implementation of that strategy? The third is how are you engaging outside of your organization with clients, portfolio companies, governments and industry to ensure that the transition happens. The fourth is what metrics and targets you'll use to measure progress against your objectives and priorities. And the fifth piece is how are you setting your governance and accountability mechanisms to ensure that this plan is enacted but also embedded into your organization. So that's how transition plans has been formulated for both financial institutions and real economy corporates in GFANS work. And it really then is part of this overall picture of trying to accelerate finance flowing towards transition activities and to, transition investments.
Yeah, very helpful. Thank you for that. So how does your work link up with the work of the UK Transition Plan Task Force? Presumably the two things dovetail.
Absolutely. Both GFANS and the UK Transition Plan Task Force, or TPT, aim to increase and improve net zero transition planning from organisations. We have common goals of enabling financial institutions and corporates to develop those robust transition plans. And we're working in parallel. TPT is focused on disclosure frameworks for financial institutions and real economy companies in the UK, whilst we at GFANS are developing a global framework for financial institutions to use. We share our expertise between the initiatives, and this facilitates a very aligned approach and ensures that we can share practice. So, for example, the TPT steering committee includes Mary Shapiro, who is our vice chair at GFANS.
Indeed.
But there are also GFANS members within there, like NatWest, London Stock Exchange Group, Legal and General Investment Management.
Okay. But yes, that makes a lot of sense. So in terms for our viewers, can you explain how the sort of jigsaw fits together of the various initiatives? So on the one hand, you described how GFANS and TPT work together. Then on the other side, we also have the ISSB sustainability standards. We have TCFD reporting, and further down the track we'll have TNFD reporting. How does that all fit together? Is there a well thought out strategy for bringing all the strands together?
Absolutely, and that's been one of the critical things as we've been developing this, is to build upon what's already out there. So we see transition plans as a strategic response to, for example, the opportunities and risks from climate change that have been drawn out by the work of TCFD, and also systemic risk analysis, such as conducted through the Network for Greening the Financial System and the Financial Stability Board. But we've also been working closely with the ISSB to provide the detail of transition plan disclosures that sort of goes into more detail than the ISSB currently goes into in their draft disclosure exposure documents. And we've intentionally drawn upon actions and plans and disclosures from the existing transition landscape. So TCFD, CDP, SBTI, the Science Based Targets Initiative, the Transition Pathway Initiative, Climate Action 100+, and the Assessing Climate Transition, to name just a few.
Yeah.
On your question about nature and TNFD, it's a fast developing topic, and we've already articulated that nature should be a consideration in your objectives and priorities in transition plans, but also that it flows through. But we're not giving hard and fast guidance here, because the TNFD is developing some of this, and I would say so is the ISSB and others.
Yeah, okay. And so with transition plans being a key element, what do you think that the biggest challenge is to making them an efficient and effective tool?
So I think there are a number of challenges that go into the detail, from getting data to understand your position, having the right models to inform that decision making, as well as embedding it into your organization, into the culture, and helping your clients and portfolio companies. GFANZ and the Net Zero Alliances that make up GFANZ are really helping to fill some of those gaps. But right now, I think the biggest challenge is that we need to get on and accelerate and scale transition finance into 4 areas. Into climate solutions, the ones that actually help us transition the economy. Second and third, into supporting entities that are either aligned or aligning with net zero. And the final thing is also helping finance the managed phase out of high carbon assets that cannot be decarbonized. But really, the expectation seems to be that finance can do this alone, but it can't. It needs action from corporates, but it also needs the right policy making environment to support that net zero transition. So there are a number of challenges that all need to be moving forward at the same time.
Very good. Yes, I mean, as you say, a number of challenges. Let's hope progress can be made on all of those. So finally, what would your message be? Here we are at the start of 2023. What would your message be to banks and asset managers and insurers and as you say, corporates?
So to me, an orderly climate transition presents the biggest economic opportunity of our age, to provide resilience to our societies and to our economies. It's not only an opportunity to provide capital, investment, insurance, and gain returns from it, but it is also a force for good and something that you could be proud of to tell your colleagues, your families, and your friends. I think it's a win-win for everybody. But like any change for better, it requires a bit of effort and change to reap those rewards. And having that transition plan is the right place to start.
Yeah, key to the whole endeavour. Tony, I'd love to continue this conversation and cover a range of other topics, but sadly we're out of time. However, we look forward to hearing your further thoughts on this matter at the conference, the summit, the Climate Transition Plans for Financial Institutions and Listed Companies Summit, being held in central London on the 7th of Feb. I very much hope the viewers will be able to join us in person there. So, Tony, thank you very much.
Thank you, and see you on the 7th of February.